In this video, I'd like to show you how to embed evil code into Android apps so that when the app is executed on an Android device, the user will see a normal app or normal game that they can use, but at the same time, our backdoor will run at the background and will have full control over that Android device, whether it's a phone, a tablet, or anything that runs Android. Now, doing this is actually not very hard. And the first step is you want to go and download the application that you want the target person to see. So you want to social engineer them to install that application. You can use any application you want. So you can just use an application for a restaurant, for example, and then social engineer your target to install that app to get a certain offer. Or you can just backdoor a game and then pretend to be the target person's friend and send them that game saying, oh, look at my new app or new game. I'm going to go to this website, which is called apkmirror.com, to download my APK. Now, there's a lot of websites that allow you to do that, but I choose to use this one. And I'm going to look for a very simple game called Flappy Bird, and you've probably heard of it. You can see I have the game in here. I'm going to click on it. And then I'm going to scroll down and download the APK. I'm going to click OK to save it. And that's it. It saves for me. So I'm going to close this. And if I go to my files, you'll see I'm in my downloads already. And I can see the file right here. Now I'm going to rename this. And I'm just going to call it Flappy Bird. Okay, now this is all good. Now we can go ahead and generate our backdoor. We can use the FATRAT to do that. And we've seen how to install and use the FATRAT before. But before I do that, you need to configure Kali to use Java 8 by default. Because by default, Kali will use the latest version of Java available, and the latest version cannot be used to recompile the backdoor that we're going to create. So, to change the default version of Java used by Kali, you need to type update alternatives. And we're going to say, I want to config the Java version. So I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, it's going to list all the Java versions available in Kali Linux. And as you can see, we have a star beside the auto mode, which will choose Java 10 by default. So what I want to do is, I'm going to enter number 2 to set Kali to use Java 8 by default. So all we're going to do is just enter number 2 and hit enter. This will configure Kali to use Java 8 by default, and this way we'll be able to use Kali to decompile the existing APK that we just downloaded and then inject a backdoor into it and recompile it to an APK again. Now the FATRAT is going to do all of this for us, like I said, so I'm going to navigate to the directory where I have it installed, which is in OPT, the FATRAT. And then we're going to run it as usual by doing ./FATRAT. Now I want to generate an Android backdoor, so that's going to be number 5 here. And the first thing it's asking me for my IP address. As you can see, it's automatically suggesting that my IP address is this, which is correct. If you're not sure about your IP address, you can split the screen, run ifconfig, and see the IP. And we've seen this before. And you can probably notice that my IP right now is different than the NAT network IP. This is because I'm going to be targeting an Android device connected to my Wi-Fi network. Therefore, I set my network settings. So if we go here, go to Devices, go to Network, and click on Network Settings, you'll see I have the network settings set to use a bridged adapter. So basically what I have right now is my host machine and my target Android device connected both to the same Wi-Fi network, and this virtual machine, Kali, is set to use a bridged adapter. That's why it's getting an IP that is within the subnet of the Wi-Fi network, and this way I'll be able to hack any computer connected to my Wi-Fi network. Now you can also run this attack and all the other attacks that you've seen so far on computers connected to different networks. For now, we're just going to focus on hacking computers connected to the same network or to the NAT network. So I'm going to put the IP as shown in here, which is 192.168.0.38. Then it's asking me for the port that I want to use on my payload. And I'm going to set this to 8080. Now it's asking me for the app or the game that I want to backdoor. And as we've seen before, this is in my downloads, and it's called flappybird.apk. So we're going to set the path to root downloads flappybird.apk. Gonna hit enter, and it's going to ask me what payload do I want to use. We're going to use Android Interpreter reverse HTTP, so I'm going to put number 1. Then it's going to ask me for the method that it should use to backdoor the APK, and we're going to use number 1 for the latest method. And now the fat rat is going to first of all create an APK backdoor, decompile the app, decompile the backdoor, inject the app into the backdoor, sign the new backdoored app, and then generate an APK that when executed, it'll run the app that we selected, but at the same time, it'll run our backdoor in the background. So now the backdoor is generated, and as you can see, it's giving us the path where the backdoor is stored. So I'm going to copy this, and then it's asking me if I want to start the listener, and I'm going to say no, because I'm going to do this manually. So that's it, we're done. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to enter 17 to exit the fat rat. Now, I want to copy the backdoor that we just generated to my evil files directory, but I also want to rename it. So, we know we can use the cp command to copy, but we can use the nv command to move. So we're going to move a file to another place and rename it in the process. So the file that I want to move is stored in here, and it's called appbackdoor.apk. And first of all, I want to move this to my var www html evil files, and I want to call it flappybird.apk. So the syntax of this command is very similar to the cp command. First, you give it the file that you want to move, and second, you give it the location where you want to move the file to, followed by the new file name. So now when I move this file, the appbackdoor.apk, when it goes into my var www.html evil files, it'll actually be renamed to flappybird.apk. So I'm going to hit enter, and that's moved there. And now we're ready to go and test the backdoor. But before we run it, as you know, because we're using a reverse connection, we need to listen for incoming connections. And I spent a full lecture showing you how to do that using Metasploit's multi-handler. So first I'm going to do MSF console to run Metasploit. And I've already configured my handler to use the right options. If you don't remember how to do this, please go back and refer to the lecture where I show how to use it. So right now I'm only going to do show options to show you the right options. So like we did before, you can see that I'm using an exploit multi-handler to listen for incoming connections. And I set my payload to Android Interpreter reverse HTTP, the same payload that I picked when I generated the backdoor. And this is always the same idea. We always pick in the handler the same payload that we pick when we generate the backdoor. You can also see that I set my L host to 192.168.0.38 and the port to 8080, again, the same options that I set when I created my backdoor. So I'm just going to do exploit to listen for incoming connections now. And that's it, we're good to go. Now let's go to the Android device, download the backdoor, and see if it works. Now right here I have my HTC One device. It's a real Android device, this is not a virtual machine. And this device is connected to my network. So I'm going to go to my browser. And I'm just going to download the file. So I want to go to 192.168 038, and I want to download the file from Evil Files, flappybird.apk. Now, as you can see, the file is downloaded. So I'm going to go from here and install the file. So I'm just going to click it to install it. Then it's going to show me all the permissions that the file is asking for. So I'm just going to scroll down and click on install. Now, as you can see, we have a normal icon for Flappy Bird. And if now the app is installed, so you can open it from here or click on done. I'm just going to do done. And then I'm just going to go on all my applications. And you can see I have the app installed here. And it's called Flappy Bird. So I'm just going to tap that to run the app. And you see that I'm just going to get a normal game that I can play. Okay? But if we go back to the Kali machine, you'll see that we got a interpreter session from the target device, from the target Android device. And I can just do sysinfo to confirm that. And as you can see now, I managed to gain full access to this Android device. Now I can access the camera, access the mic, send messages, access the files, and do anything I want on that device. And we managed to do this using a legitimate app, and we injected our code in that app. So this opens a huge number of attack strategies. You can pretend to be a friend and send an app to the person. You can pretend to be Facebook, for example, and tell the person there's a new update and download it. You can pretend to be a local restaurant and send a flyer into the house and ask the person to download a file using a QR code. There is a huge number of ways to use this to hack into your target. For now, we're not talking about delivery methods, so I just want to show you the whole technique behind it. And as you can see, we can hack into any Android phone using any app that we want.